we have the opportunity to talk about who are the spokespeople for crypto. And I had a chance to check up on Senator Lummis talking, and I thought maybe we could start with playing this clip so we could listen to somebody who is one of the outspoken champions of crypto and actually listen to what it sounds like when she talks about crypto. So let's start with that.
Oh God. Okay, I'm bracing myself.
Yes.
Turn it up more.
About that because that's a means of surveillance of the American people. But we want to make sure people can have individual wallets for their Bitcoin so they have that sovereign over their own money. We know we want the US dollar to remain strong. And actually, having Bitcoin in reserve can help the US dollar remain strong.
So this is like listening to my grandma talk about Bitcoin.
I mean, the first thing that gave me alarm bell is surveillance. Isn't it blockchain?
Tell me you don't know anything about crypto by telling me you don't know anything about crypto. The blockchain is meant to be transparent and auditable. Of course, you can
Right.
surveil it.
Um. I mean, kudos to Cynthia Lummis for championing the cause, but furthering this narrative. I mean, part of blockchain and part of that understanding of money is getting away from hidden finances. Remember. I don't want to go off on a tangent, but Steam. Do you ever think about Steam and some of Valve back in which I think, by the way, Bram was briefly worked for Valve back in the 2006 2007. Do you happen to remember their avant-garde management that they were famous for, the Valve employee handbook?
No. How are we on that? I thought we were going to talk about crypto champions.
Okay.
How are we on that?
Sorry, I'm going already off on a tangent, but it goes to this notion of, we used to live in a world where you never mentioned how much you made. Nobody talked about that. Nobody talked about how much companies that wasn't disclosed. There was a lot more private companies. I don't know, that just going into this, like one of the hardest things for the adoption of crypto and blockchains has been this notion of not having a secret as to how much money you have in the bank. I mean, I'm not sure that Cynthia Lummis understands that anyone can go look in your wallet. I don't think a lot of people get that. But champions, political champions of Bitcoin, go for it. I can think of maybe actually zero people. I can think of zero political champions of Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies. What about you?
Well, it seems like the most prominent figures are all been jailed. Like people who have very publicly come out and like talked about crypto, right? There a lot of them are in jail. So like I can count them on one hand of people that I can really think of. Do Kwon was way out there. The dude that ran Celsius was way out there. CZ has been pretty in front of stuff. Justin Sun's out there. I wouldn't say any of these guys are like people I would like happily champion crypto. It's like a lot of these guys have been all embroiled in doing a lot of really bad stuff. I know one person that you brought up who's right in our backyard where I live is Tom Emmer. I mean, Tom Emmer has definitely gotten very schooled in crypto, and has, I think he was one of the co-sponsors of Fit 21, if I remember. Is that right?
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
And I mean, I like Patrick McHenry a lot. I guess when I think about people who I would have as ideal, and when you say Do Kwon and some people who are in the crypto sphere, I don't necessarily consider like part of the political realm. I'm thinking of elected politicians. I guess, and backtracking that a little bit, I mean, Bobby Kennedy has actually talked about putting government on blockchain to expose it uh, to inspection so that we can know. I mean, to me, that is the most fundamental aspect of using blockchain, of using crypto, is that it's open, it is public, it is part of a network. So,
Yeah,
Bobby,
actually, let's listen to one other person. We mentioned Emmer. I found a clip. Let's play one. I think that this would be fun to do a little bit of this stuff. Here we go.
Bill is about national security. It's about consumer protection. It's about global competitiveness. It's about shaping what the future global digital economy looks like and how it functions. Currently, all online transactions are intermediated. But as we move deeper into the digital age, digital assets are key to decentralizing the internet so Americans can transact directly with each other. Now, no intermediary needed. Without crypto, we don't have this ability. And I think giving Americans the choice to do business through an intermediary or directly with each other is important.
now I really like that, and he's the majority whip. Oh, I wasn't aware of that.
Yes, he's the whip. His job is to go find the votes when they want to cast or try to get something passed. That's the job of the whip, right? If I'm recall correctly.
Yep, absolutely.
And it's
To
his job to actually do that by brandishing a whip, I think.
maybe that might be in the future. Who knows?
Did you guys see that 3-minute commercial that came out? It's been posted on Twitter, showing like what is Bitcoin. It's like a little cartoon of describing what is Bitcoin. That's what I think of when I think of trying to explain Bitcoin to the masses, is getting like an AI explanation of things and trying to explain to people that way.
Well, I think that there's been no better explanation of crypto than the little cartoon that was done with the little kids and the old grandma. I love that one. You guys have seen that, right?
Yeah, I've seen those, but I think that that falls into that whole narrative of strategic reserve asset, and I think there's a broader and there's a broader use of crypto once government picks up and uses blockchain, then there's a whole lot more greater range of possibility than using it as an alternative store of value to hedge against the inflation of the dollar.
Well, what I like about what Emmer was saying here for Fit 21 is he started to articulate a bunch of the actual points of like what makes crypto better. I think that that's always important that we talk about how it's better than what's already been done. Auditability, being able to transact without intermediaries and having a peer-to-peer network and having it not be in the control of one central party, like these are all the things that need to be talked about because they're why it's better. The better needs to be focused on rather than some of this other number go up stuff that is way too focused on.
Well, and there's also the security aspect of it to the crypto part. Like I do like that he addresses the blockchain aspect of it, the removing intermediary aspect of it, but we also need people who are technologically savvy to understand custody, to understand consensus security. You're great at that, Grant. I always enjoy your takes on it. Gene Hoffman with CNI is incredible at it too. Maybe
we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about Gene. We should play a little clip of Gene.
Play a clip. Maybe we can talk him into running for Senator of Wyoming.
Gene, we've seen the collapse of FT plea from Binance. What do you think all of this means for the industry moving forward? And in particular, what do you make of the positive market reaction off the back of that guilty plea from Binance? What happened here?
Well, I think it's important to see what the U.S. Department of Justice didn't find at Binance. You know, when you look at what they're actually accusing Binance of and what CZ is going to plead guilty to, it is early on KYC AML violations. You know, unlike FTX, the money was there. There was no fraud. You know, this was a real legitimate enterprise. And I think the, you know, outcome here recognizes that, but it underscores another very important point. You know, the point of blockchains and cryptocurrencies is to decentralize, is to not have to worry about whether CZ is doing everything right. Instead, you know, trust and verify yourself, self-custody. I think those are the more important points that we all need to take from, you know, both FTX and Binance. You know, these were classic centralized exchanges that we've had for hundreds of years. The real opportunity is to go into true DeFi and decentralized exchange and not have to trust a third party to.
Gene percentage. Gene percentage. That's all I
Gene,
gotta say.
yeah, and what did I say? So custody and security. There it is.
Decentralized. Don't trust anybody. that's what we want. The thing about Gene is a programmer. You know, he's a crypto punk. He understands this stuff viscerally. The Tom is reading points somebody else has written for him. Gene can go up there and just rip it right off the cuff. I mean, he doesn't need anybody to write a speech for him. He doesn't need somebody to do that for him. He can just speak to it because he understands it viscerally. You know, it's in his bone marrow. That's why we need Gene for Senate.
Well, and he also has, I mean, he talked about the legal issues and broke it down, because there's so many people who talk about the SEC and some of these court cases, and all it is, you know, an evil group of people are intruding on the world that we want, the things that we want to do. And I mean, Gene fought the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals in the 90s. He was part of that.
Gene is effectively a lawyer that hasn't passed the bar. That's kind of how it goes, you know. It's like sometimes, you know, people are just naturally fluent in the law. This just happens to be one of those people that has made it his passion to like know the law. As you have alluded to as well, Bobby Kennedy is kind of right there too. You know, you deal like when you deal with lawyers enough and you're around the law enough, you just you know, is Kennedy a lawyer? Maybe he
Kennedy, absolutely. Kennedy's a lawyer. He's spent the last, and I think that's one of the strongest points. And yeah, Bobby Kennedy is a.
So where is he capable of practicing law? You get in a state, right? So
I mean, he probably, I don't know where he's passed the bar, but he has represented clients for the last 20 years, 30 years. You know, part of his career is starts with environmental protections on maybe the Connecticut River. I forget which. He represented a man who had been spraying Roundup on people's yards and got cancer from the active chemical in Roundup, glyphosate or glyphosate. Yeah, Kennedy has also taken on big pharma lately. I mean, which is part of the reason that he is so. I think that why there are so many narratives that are promulgated about him that seem very.
Lucas, look at this picture though. Come on, can't we do better than this? This is a terrible picture.
It is.
I was all weird. What is going on with this picture? This looks like some weird, like avant-garde painting or something.
Yeah, and like the whole sort of kind of the eyes, whatever. He's I don't know why he chose that picture. Is that goodness? I prefer the one where he's in a white guayabera and he's stuffing a snake in his wife's pillowcase.
Yes, that's way better. I don't know how what is going on here. There's no way. This can't be right. I just did a top Google search and here I came up with this. This has got to be a better picture than this. This is the worst. Come on, Kennedy, you can do better. Get this picture down off the internet. Take it down.
Yeah. But yeah, Kennedy's certainly a lawyer. And he turned to the law. He turned to the law after, I forget what he was prior to that, but he didn't go straight to law school at like 19 years old, which I always think benefits lawyers to have some experience in other sectors. But I'm not a lawyer. I just am fascinated with history and the law. So
There's a better picture. At least his eyes don't look super fucking.
that's a much better picture. A bit of an older picture, maybe too.
He began his career as assistant district attorney in New York City in the mid '80s.
Well, then he was a lawyer to begin.
Well, but that's, let's see, environmental lawyer, early life, Georgetown University.
He was born at Georgetown University Hospital. Where did he go to school at? Went to
Conviction for heroin possession. Oh,
you didn't know that?
I've been listening to his policies more than I dug into his background. Like, really? Okay.
Well, I think that's something that gets lobbed at him too. But yeah, he talks about the effect that the murders of his uncle and father had on him. The disassociated ennui that he had also as the district attorney. He wasn't following his dreams, and he pivoted. And
see, look at this. This is a great picture, Ken.
That is a great picture, but that's also 20 or 30 years ago.
Yeah, but he's smiling. He's youthful. He doesn't look like he's drinking.
I mean, well, those Kennedys are handsome. I mean,
here you go. Here he is with Morgan and Morgan. Became counsel of the Morgan Morgan law firm.
Yep, and that's the Monsanto case. But
okay, so he's been a lawyer for forever. I thought he had a different beginning, but maybe he's always been a lawyer.
Well, and this is also why I really liked John Deaton, and I was kind of pissed at Cynthia Lummis for her support of some other like off the wall candidate in the Massachusetts race. I don't care if John Deaton has no chance of beating Elizabeth Warren. At some point, you want to pick a brilliant, articulate candidate. John Deaton is certainly understands crypto, understands if not well versed on all the aspects of crypto, like understands the problem with the regulatory aspects of the SEC and the fights that they've had there. And he's kind of, he kind of fits the the newer slate of senators, the Mike Lees, the Fettermans, the sort of like blue collar everyman. I love based Mike Lee, by the way. We need to get based Mike Lee to be a champion for crypto. But yeah, I would love it to see John Deaton in the Senate representing a worldview that comes from the other dollar crypto. But no, we run a little bit short here on politicians who get crypto. I was asked by friends on the street yesterday, what is Bitcoin? And it was even hard for me to boil down into, 5 minutes of this is what it is, because there are many aspects to this revolution. So we can forgive some politicians for maybe missing all the points. I don't know. Do you have any more to add to our?
No, I think it's just me lamenting and kind of bitching about this clip of Lummis and not being happy with her articulation of crypto and wishing that we had more representation of this viewpoint.
Well, it's also, here's something that I sometimes think about. Rusty, you brought up the short films, the animated cartoons that try to explain Bitcoin. I think a lot of us have a understanding of our federal legislative process that comes from Schoolhouse Rock. what is a bill. And that's great. Oh, look, there's Patrick McHenry. He ain't no fool. He ain't no fool.
What do you think about bow ties, though?
Oh, I love bow ties. I like applaud bow tie. You know, when you see a man in a bow tie, he's got a sense of humor. And it's I bet Thomas Massey rocks a bow tie. I haven't really paid that much attention, but I bet he does. And you know that this man also has some brightly colored socks. It's like a character who is there's the John Fetterman tack of wearing a hoodie to the floor.
I don't like that. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You gotta give respect to the institution. You know, if you're at a circus, you wear a circus outfit. You're at the Senate, you put on a suit. I'm sorry, but you got to wear the appropriate outfit. Who was it? It was I think it was said clothes make the man. Naked people have no influence in society. That was who am I thinking of that did that quote? Mark Twain. Mark Twain.
I was gonna guess Mark Twain. So many great quotes from Mark Twain. But the clothes make naked people have no influence in society. Yeah, maybe he's right. But also the thing, I don't know. I would like to see some maroon blazers, some pinstripes. You know, we could.
There you go, right there. That's the quote.
Yeah, Mark Twain. Okay, God bless Samuel Clemens. Now you got me thinking about Mark Twain. The Prince and the Pauper's Court, or the Pauper and the Prince's Court, whatever.
So this one isn't in our slate of things to talk about, but I was talking to a buddy of mine who just got back from China, and he said he spent some time in Shenzhen, and I don't know how much these guys are on anybody's radar, but BYD apparently is all over the place in China and Shenzhen. These guys are making cars and sort of killing it in China. I think they banned these in the United States, or slapped such a large import tax that you're not going to be able to buy one of these. But these are like a sub $20,000 electric car, and he was cruising around in one of these, and he said they're everywhere. This is pretty much it, and he said that they're great. This is Tesla's competition right here.
Right. Well, there seems to be a bit of a narrative of like I don't know, people who bought Teslas who are falling out of love with their Teslas lately. But I talked with a I don't know. So I talked with a man who was from Eastern Colorado and a part of the leadership of a energy company there in Eastern Colorado several years ago, and we were talking about wind energy, and he was adamantly against it. And I said, this would make sense to me, because he was so pro coal. I said, this would make sense for me if you were mining coal or had a coal plant in your district, but you don't. And I don't understand why so many people have this like anti-solar, anti-wind narrative whenever anyone can be mining energy with solar panels or wind generators. Not everybody has access to geothermal energy, but certainly not everybody has access to coal. And I'm just sometimes blown away that like Texas, they seem to throw wind energy under the bus and solar energy under the bus at every chance that they get. But the cost of renewable energy has plummeted. I wish we had more politicians who were making some statements about breaking the grid, about sovereignty with regards to energy production, rather than
Yeah, I think I've seen some reports that say that the renewables have come up quite a bit. Interestingly, though, along this same line in China, and I saw this clip and I saw this, that there's apparently some turmoil in the Chinese banking sector. I don't know if 40 is even a lot of Chinese banks, like what the size of them is. Like this, I'm not sure how to take this, but I was looking at, because I remembered that there were cars in here, and I wasn't sure if these were BYD cars or not. It doesn't look like it. This what is this RS?
Well, you said your friend that was impressed by the cleanliness and the, I don't know, the vibrancy, the newness, the electrical adoption there in China. Juxtapose that to America. Like, what have we got going here in the United States? We've got
This looks like a Ford logo. Is this a Ford?
and no, it's not a
What is
Ford.
it? What's this blue logo?
Kia.
Kia.
It's a Chinese version of Kia. Who knows what it is? Maybe it's a Fiat.
Okay, what's this? That Tesla?
I was gonna say Tesla, but it's not. It's not a Tesla. Are we? Are
There's
we?
no
Gonna,
way that's a Tesla. Look at this. This is old school. Like this is.
why would China be? Why would China have American-made vehicles imported into China when we make all the parts there and have them assembled at some way here in the United States?
I don't know, but they're clearly like okay, Volvo. It's a Volvo.
Oh, well, maybe. Maybe they're making Volvos in China, but I don't know.
Interesting. This is such a weird thing too. They're just clearly showing the license plate number. They didn't even try to scrub it out.
I mean, does it matter? Like, what? Why are people so worried about seeing a license plate of a vehicle on a picture?
I don't know, because I guess you could look this guy up and you know whose car it is.
Listen to me. I'm so blockchain. I don't mind if people see the license tag of my car.
I mean, I guess it's like you're driving around with it on your car, so it's like it's not like it can't be seen. I don't know. I don't even want to mention that, but I just thought it was interesting because you know, we were talking to the BYD car. There's this bank collapse thing that's happening. I mentioned to him, I said maybe China is you know, on the road up. I also saw that they had a fully automated factory producing. I don't remember exactly what it was, but yeah, I mean, I wish I could have had a chance. When in the time that I was working at Evergreen, we contemplated going to China because we were working on some stuff with a supplier or two that we were working with, and we said, maybe we should take a trip and be there, but didn't get the chance to actually make the trip. So I haven't been to
Weren't they
China.
calling that like a dark factory, that AI one? I saw a post on that, the one you're mentioning, where it's completely fully automated, robotic, giant factory. I think would they term it like a dark factory? What was the term? Do you remember that, Luke, Grant?
Let me see if I can find it.
Maybe dark because they don't have to have lights on because robots don't need lights.
No, actually, there was lights. It's kind of weird, actually, because some people were saying like, why does the fully automated factory need all these LED lights all over the place? Yeah, look at this. I mean, they got like the standard fluorescent lights. What's the point of all of that?
Well,
there it is in the dark.
I don't know if they're cleaning it with a Roomba. I'll tell you that. You know, part of the reason I think China might have such a easier path forward in adoption of electrical vehicles is because they have a massive train system, you know, a rail system for commuters or for travelers to use high speed trains to get around long distance. Something we don't have in America.
This looks like a phone factory. Xiaomi, don't they make the phones, right?
Yeah, I think I saw it. They were making phones in the factory.
It looks like the next Ridley Scott movie.
What's interesting is I think if you watch the iPhones get made, they're all made by hand, right? Mostly.
I think they are large. Yeah, I mean, who knows if they are now, but I've seen
That'll be Apple's new tagline: is that you know, handcrafted. Remember those old Folgers commercials?
Made by humans.
Lucas, you remember those?
I do.
Well, I don't think a lot of them remember those. Hand-picked by Juan Valdez.
Well, we will fetishize handmade objects. We already do. It's a and maybe we'll want more of them in a world of robots. But
Okay, so the other thing that we put in our title here that we're going to actually cover slightly is the president's continuing spiral into dementia. Like, I saw the clips of what was happening yesterday. I'm not surprised at all.
I saw there two clips, or I saw two gaffes. I mean, major political gaffes. One, he introduced
Zelensky.
Zelensky as Putin. Whoops, I didn't. Whoops. And then Vice President Harris as Vice President Trump.
Here was the gaffe that I caught that really caught my eye. We got to play this clip since I guess this is a clip show day where we just play clips.
I'll take your questions. I've been given a list of people to call on here. With that, I'll take your questions. I've been given a list of people to call on here.
I don't think they're supposed to do that, right?
No, it's getting so bad. And it's not just this conference, it's a lot of his other ones too, like his NATO speech. I think he referenced that, he says that he bows or he kneels down before Zelensky. And he was saying that, he's not the commander in chief.
Yep. It's just clearly alluding to the fact that he has handlers and they're telling him what to do and they're giving him lists of stuff and he's being told what to say. And he's reading his teleprompter instructions that he's not supposed to read. This is so embarrassing.
Well, let's apart from embarrassing, let's talk about the 25th Amendment then, because I see a lot of Republicans calling for the 25th Amendment to be invoked by the cabinet, which gives me great alarm bells. It would seem to me that it would suit us better to have members of Congress calling back their authority in declaring war. I mean, because part of the problem that we have here is the Biden administration has opened up a shadow war that they're waging against Russia.
So when the POTUS says that we're fighting a war and then Congress didn't declare war, what does that mean then?
That would seem to me to be that's a big problem, but it's the truth. Like, I mean, maybe the silver lining on this dark cloud is Biden is tripping into saying the truth. When he basically said that the United States would violate international law by blowing up the Nord Stream 2 pipeline. I think that was not a mistake. He was drunk on power, but now we see that happening over and over and over. I mean, we see the curtain pulled back with regards to how staged and how managed his presidency is. I don't know.
Having had a relative go through this, the thing that is foremost in my mind is this goes through these periods of lucidity and then flipping very rapidly into just nonsense, and it sort of can happen intermittently, and then it starts to get worse, and then pretty soon it's just that's the way it is forever, and the person has no ability to communicate whatsoever anymore. So like when with my relative who I've had this experience, she is clearly trying to say some things and she tries to be a part of the conversation. You can see that she understands somewhat of what's being said, but she can't say the things she wants to say. So it comes out just in this mumbled, garbled thing. And so if you just pretend that whatever she said is reasonable for the conversation and you continue on, then she's kind of happy and like reasonably there, but like she's not adding anything to the equation. That is, I think, exactly where we're at with Biden. He just doesn't know what's going on anymore.
I can't believe that you brought up a video of Jon Stewart. You're taunting me. Isn't he funny? I'm laughing. Jon Stewart's so hilarious. Where's Anthony?
He did a great breakdown on this on his show the other night. I actually had a chance to catch it. That was pretty good.
Does he still have a comedy show, or is he actually being serious because he can't?
He's back on. He's got his late night show back on.
Oh goodness.
He's in peak form. I mean, it was great. It's funny. It was like politically on point. I mean, Jon Stewart as good as he's ever been. So yeah, glad he's part of the political discourse again. You know, I think we were kind of missing the comedians. You know, bringing the sass and the snark. Jon Stewart and what's that? Oliver, the guy that's on HBO. He's doing great too. Funny stuff.
Well, I don't know if I'm going to be watching too much of it, but maybe I don't know. You're still taunting me with Jon Stewart.
What do you want me to play instead? Should we move on? You mentioned something about lupus, so I didn't get a chance to check up on.
Well, I was going to say it would be interesting if we find out, you know, dementia. We have these dementia and Alzheimer's. Have you and Bobby Kennedy? Maybe if Bobby Kennedy is president, we will learn more about the causes for both of them.
I think they're on the track to figuring out Alzheimer's. Let me see if I can. I remember.
Have you seen the butter / oleic acid or animal fats versus oleic acid? You know, oils that we have now. There seems to be like a possibility of something there with the
You're talking about the seed oil thing.
Well, and just that that also our neurons are so largely made of now we go from politics to science.
Well, I mean, we kind of are because we're talking about one of our, top politicians, the president, like clearly suffering from, like some kind of a neurodegenerative disease, whether it's Alzheimer's or dementia or whatever it happens to be here. Like it's clear it's happening, and there's alarm bells going off all over the place because if Biden's not in charge of the country, then who really is? Like that's it's a cause for deep concern here because this guy is being fed lines, and the question is like who's handling him, who's giving him these lines, what's really going on here?
True. And just with regards to dementia and Alzheimer's, I find it interesting that it seems that science is coming closer to understanding that maybe it is a deficiency of diet with regards to Alzheimer's because of the erosion of the telomeres, a lack of cholesterol. I think that's it's the cholesterol in animal fats that that they are tying to, as if people are drinking are using high oleic acid oils for a large part of their life, they are not replenishing the cholesterol to keep their telomeres or the nerve endings in their.
It's the beta blockers or whatever that messes with your cholesterol, right? Isn't it?
Now you're asking questions I don't know. But dementia, I find interesting. So my grandmother had dementia also, and she caught dementia after she broke her hip, and she was in her late 80s and great. She broke her hip.
It's statins. This is yeah. I've also had a family member go through this particularly. I don't know that this was a contributor at all, but like it's the statins that lower cholesterol. So if that ends up being something, I wouldn't be surprised. It seems like every time we turn around, what's being touted as the cure ends up being worse than the disease. So this is the cholesterol drugs. It's these ones. Statins.
Well, and I don't know if they have any bearing on dementia, but do you know?
Lipitor. This is the one right here. I think everybody's on this one.
Are you familiar with what prions are?
That's what gives you the what's it called? The mad cow disease, right? The prions.
That's absolutely right. Mad cow disease is a prionic disease. Prions.
It's the brain thing, because there was this continuously breaks out or happens repeatedly because the wild deer population oftentimes will have a form of this.
Well, and a prion is a sequence of nucleic acids that's somewhat smaller than a virus. But they can also, we're finding they can exist in many places. They're very hard to see. We need incredibly precise tools to see, to measure them, to find them. And anyway, when my grandmother went to the hospital, came back and suddenly had dementia, I got to looking into it, and I found some correlation in scientists who are trying to find a prionic cause for dementia. I wonder about it.
Well, let's. I mean, just look. This is kind of interesting. I mean, look at what we've got here: rapidly developing dementia, difficulty walking, and changes in gait. And we've seen that in the president.
Yeah.
Confusion, fatigue, difficulty speaking.
Grant, you're worried now. Now I recall like getting back on like self-diagnosing on the internet. Prionic diseases, I think, are something that are interesting to go down a rabbit hole. Looking into where scientists are in their discoveries with regards to prionic diseases. But lupus, we do have maybe some good news regarding lupus, which is something else that runs in that I know several people have deal with, and lupus might be chased down to the body's a disproportionate response with T cells and B cells with regards to pollutants and bacteria that the body is exposed to. So
so this thing that you pointed out, that you're pointing at, now, what caught your eye about lupus? Is this something that you're having some kind of a personal connection to, or did it just catch your eye because it was in the news?
So lupus has my great grandmother had lupus, and it was especially debilitating in her time. The treatments for it have improved, but it's something that exists in part of my family, like pretty prevalently. So
any of these autoimmune diseases are so just debilitating. It's like this is when the body attacks itself or is tricked into attacking itself, like the immune system going haywire.
Yeah, in the 80s, when I was a child, I would visit my great grandmother, and she had to essentially stay in a very sterile environment because the treatments that she was taking for her lupus, which caused for her like I was a small child. I'm not even sure what all, but I know that there was some skin conditions that came with it, etc. But she had to stay in a fairly sterile environment always. Like I don't ever remember her going outside because I don't know, pollens, maybe grass, who knows what. I wasn't. I even to this day, like it says it has remained a curious disease. So anyway, this caught my eye this morning because I have still to this day several family members who deal with lupus. So it would be cool if there was some if we knew more about it, or possibly, dare I say, a cure. I don't know. Maybe not spraying Roundup on everything could have some profound changes in the world. I don't know. That's what Bobby Kennedy says.
This abstract, gosh, I thought this was supposed to help people who didn't know what they were reading. Look at this. What is this? This is okay.
Well, that's
Yes.
why I sent you the other article too.
That's
Use-
right. I got nothing from this abstract. Okay, just give this to ChatGPT and try and dissect this. Let's see if they can handle it.
Well, I don't know. The what else do we have on? Oh, the Epoch Times. We put Epoch Times on here too. You know, we already talked about China. Um, I wanted to like mention Epoch Times because we you know, listening to our members of Congress like constantly talk about China. Did we learn nothing from the amount of time that we spent listening to our politicians talk about Russia as some great enemy, only to discover that it was much of our own making with the problems that we were foisting over on Russia. You know, we talk about TikTok, highway or Huawei routers, etc. All these concerns about China, and yet I know many people who get the Epoch Times for free delivered to their door. And when you get a newspaper
As
delivered,
as a physical newspaper, this comes printed.
yeah, and they say, my God, that Epoch Times, that sure does, that's the best conservative newspaper. And the Epoch Times is a propaganda voice of a movement a Chinese movement called Falun Gong that is anti-CCP. If you want to know what the true the raison d'être of the Epoch Times is, look on the front page and tell me if you ever find an issue that does not have an anti-CCP article.
This is who you're talking about, Falun Gong, right here, right?
The Falun Gong, yes. And I have no problem with the Falun Gong, but I do have a problem with.
Oh yeah, here it is. Falun Gong operates the Epoch Media Group, also known for its the Epoch Times newspaper. There you go.
Crazy. And I mean, pay attention to YouTube. Like I have responded to YouTube.
And this symbol that the Falun Gong is noted for here, clearly this is the more ancient rendering of this glyph, because it's not really hearkening to the Third Reich here, right?
Well, yeah, that's a much older, like, you know, the Navajos and Native peoples use it.
Yes, this glyph is quite ancient, but
you know, the Navajos, it's correlated to the whorl on the back of your head, and also notions of, depending on the direction, either chaos or order.
These
But
aren't the same. The Falun Gong. This isn't the same ones that put on that that show, that the traveling circus or whatever, is it? That's something else, right?
I have no idea. I have no idea. I just know that they are behind the Epoch Times, and the Epoch Times has is a media organization that has tried desperately to direct.
Oh, it's this Shen Yun. This is what I was. Yeah, the performing arts. This is this is the circus that comes around. That's the same part of this, huh?
Well,
Interesting.
cuidate.
Let's see. You never seen these guys come to town?
I live in a town of 1,000 people, Grant.
Well, there you go. That's why I haven't seen it
Yeah.
yet.
Remember, I hadn't seen Hamilton because I would have to, probably Denver would be the closest place for me to see
See, here's this deep truth that you're going to get listening to our show. It's like I had no idea that the Epoch Times always kind of smelled funny to me. It's always like, what is this article? You get one of these, and you're like, who's writing this? Who has the money to promote these ideas? And here it is. They're linked to this religious organization.
And a religious organization that wants to pit the United States against the CCP. And we should be very, very wary about some of the I don't know, accepted notions that have proliferated through American political thoughts. Because if you start digging into them, a lot of them go back to the enormous influence that the Epoch Times media group has. We eat through the newspaper, and I would say even more so, because how many people do we know go to YouTube on the regular? And I would guess that the both of you, when you go to YouTube, have been exposed to several ads of this, like gorgeous people, very with very polished lines talking about talking points from the Epoch Times.
No, my YouTube's just full of mukbangs.
What about your of course it's Rusty.
What's a I want to know what's a mukbang. I don't know what that is.
That's those shows where people just eat food and they just put a video on them just eating food everywhere.
Ah.
What about
everybody's a food critic now, and everybody's a mukbang video creator.
We learned so many things new here, but what about the ads between your mukbang videos, Rusty? Because I would bet that it would be interesting to see the revenue, the ad revenue support.
There's nothing that isn't on Wikipedia. Look at this, Lucas. I just was like Googling it, and I was like, oh, there's mukbang, right?
And look, it's Korean. See, they're probably I don't know. There's something to that. Mukbang, never heard of it, but I was thinking of something dirtier, Rusty.
I also was thinking about something dirtier, but
oh no, I just like to watch people eat crazy weird foods sometimes, like we have these designated foods in America that we're supposed to be eating, and then it's just surprising to me to see some other parts of the world eat things that I wouldn't imagine.
I thought it was teenage girls dyeing their hair and crimping their bangs.
This dominated my YouTube for a while. This dude that just like went out and tried to get stung by the most painful insects on the planet and bit by the most poisonous.
Y'all have bizarre YouTube tastes. I watch videos by I can't even think of it, Heather Cox Richardson, and I love geotectonic, the Scotese plate tectonics. Those are my bag.
All right, we'll give each one of us a call out. Mukbang, Coyote Peterson, and here Heather Cox Richardson.
I would also add with Heather Cox Richardson, I do not agree politically with her one bit. I think that we need to return to prior to the Constitution. She seems to be an adamant Federalist, but she's still a great historian and some great, like, she has a series on the Republican Party that's phenomenal. And also,
I think one of the most important things that we can do in this modern world is to try to break out of our own like sphere of influence as much as possible and hear opposing points of view. So I love that you're listening to somebody and saying, I give her time and I disagree. That's a mark of.
Oh, I'm constantly arguing at the screen. Yeah, but one thing that really strikes me with her is that she, I love a lot of historians, but many like get to this sort of like dark hole of money, and whether it be FDR, but also Lincoln, and they're like, and something confusing went on with money and banking there. But let's get back to the politicians. But Heather Cox Richardson absolutely understood how the national banking system, the creation of the national banking system in 1862, and how that affected politics, how that affected the alignment of senators and states and trusts. So that's what I really appreciate about her, apart from also just a lot of factoids and details that she knows about various politicians and things that happen that are delicious.
Other than peeling back the curtain and telling us who's really behind the Epoch Times, why was it on your mind? Like, what were we supposed to get out of?
Well, because I listen to so many, especially like Republicans. Like I've been listening to the Financial Services Committee with Janet Yellen, and just absolutely dismayed. Whether it is Democrats or Republicans, like they all want to use the United States dollar to apply more and more sanctions across the world. They run their mouths, China, 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 and they don't understand that then they turn around and they talk about let's keep the dollar strong. Let's keep the dollar strong. The dollar is strong because people use it. The world uses the dollar. Let's make sure that the dollar remains the reserve currency for the nations of the world. And then they want to turn around and talk about sanction, 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 sanction. Look at Saudi Arabia and the warning that it gave to the United States and the euro that if we froze the assets of Russia and Ukraine, that they were going to dump their United States and Euro Treasury bonds. That's the reality. If you use money as a punishment, if you use it as a stick rather than a carrot, then people are going to run away from it. And sadly, our politicians think that they are being strong and using this great tool of the United States dollar because everyone has to use it, and instead they are weakening the United States.
Reading through some of this, these are jaw-dropping numbers on some of this stuff that's been going on with Epoch Times. It's like, gosh, this is...
I talk about the shadow bans that I get on Twitter, and sure seems that I get a lot of shadow bans when I talk about the Epoch Times, and nobody wants to talk about them. Republicans don't want to talk about them. Democrats don't want to talk about them. Republicans should be absolutely terrified about especially with the concepts of make like America first, and then to have that so many of their talking points set by an organization that is quite obviously China first, and so much concerned about the CCP. I mean, why is the United States being used as the outlet and the political arm to forward their policy goals in China? Because the things that they talk about have everything to do with setting America against the CCP, and it's very dangerous. I'm surprised that you were not aware of the ties with the Falun Gong. Just everyone should be alarmed when you get something free that purports to be news on your doorstep.
I just, when I see this and when I see what's the other one we were talking about? I've seen articles from this stuff and I just kind of am like, I usually don't click on it. I don't read it because it just seems like propaganda. I just haven't been paying attention to it because I don't really read it, but I guess I should dig into stuff a little bit more, but try to at least get educated on things that seem distasteful to me.
And meanwhile, I mean, look at them. Like how many politicians?
Zero Hedge, that's the one. That one seems really in the same boat, doesn't it?
Well, we've talked about Zero Hedge also, and I would love to find out, because Zero Hedge seems to have a lot of great information. Maybe, I would like to know more about Zero Hedge and where that's coming from. It's an account on Twitter. I don't know if you want to bring it up. Our politicians also seem to be so concerned about Chinese ownership of American lands and about TikTok, and yet not a peep about the Epoch Times. And again, I would guess that those concerns about TikTok and Chinese ownership, those are great foils to our attention as to very real propaganda that's put in front of millions and millions of American eyes every day.
Well, it says Bulgaria.
Oh, it's Bulgarian. Created by who even knew that there is God? Thank you, Wikipedia. And you still haven't changed your Wikipedia to dark mode, but I'm not complaining. There's
I
actually a
still
website.
don't see a way to do that without logging in. So like I'm trying to not pollute the show with whatever weird stuff that I'm doing for programming and whatever, so to get like tons of weirdo stuff.
You know, we have dear friends of the show who have maybe some ties to Chuck Palahniuk, Fight Club, and Tyler Durden. Maybe they can make an appeal for Daniel to come on and tell us what his he promotes Austrian economics. Any
Yeah, I mean, as far as the alignment, it's like I do constantly see people that I know like posting this stuff that like said anything that looks so polished as this kind of stuff, and is so thoroughly written. It's just like, okay, this is clearly not coming from advertising. It's got to be paid for by somebody, and that just makes me wonder who's footing the bill for this. So it's this guy, huh? Daniel. Former investment banker.
Wow, founded in 2009. A lot happening in January of 2009. What else was founded in January of 2009?
It's like right close to the Bitcoin launch.
I
don't
mean,
think there's a tie there, but I mean, dude clearly got in on that early crypto money, right? Is this all Bitcoin finance? Is that what's going on here?
well, I wouldn't say that. I would say that there was a response to the I don't know, financial crisis of 2008 of 2008, like quite literally.
Miller Buckfire, LLC. American College of Sofia. In Bulgaria.
Is Bulgaria where they have the golden Satoshi? Is that Bulgaria? Somewhere down there in the Balkans.
No, but that's where dude from what's it called is Robin Hood, isn't he? A young boy growing up in Bulgaria?
Yeah.
Vlad?
Something like that, yes.
Maybe these guys went to school together.
I don't know about that.
Let's find out. Watch, it's gonna be true. Let's find out where Vlad went to school. What's Vlad's last name?
I don't know. There's also members of the
Vlad Tenev. Here we go. All right.
Is it Yak in Bulgaria?
He attended Thomas Jefferson High School, Fairfax County. This is a dude who grew up in America.
And both his parents worked for the World Bank. Well, now we've gone full conspiracy, Grant.
Ooh, and see, yeah, this guy is destined for jail, isn't it? Everybody that gets on the cover of Forbes ends up in jail. Like Forbes has almost a perfect track record of picking people that are going to end up in jail. Have you seen that analysis?
Oh yeah, I like in the wake of SBF that kind of made the rounds.
All right. Well, anyway, this was all fun. I guess some days we have more well-researched shows, and some days we just kind of spitballing ideas. So this is more of the latter, I guess. Fun conversation.
Yeah, well, thanks for humoring my my rant against Epoch Times. Maybe Senator Lummis will take a dual mandate of pro crypto, anti Epoch Times. Now that would be amazing.
Well, if anybody out there is listening, so we'd love to have Senator Lummis come on the show. We'll help educate her on crypto stuff. Help write some of her stuff.
Absolutely. If any politician wants to come on and have deep talks about better talking points for helping people understand crypto and also policy objectives, we will humor them. We'll have a 4-hour show for them. What do we got coming up next week, Grant? Any things on your mind? I do want to have a talk at some point about addiction, tobacco. we were going to do that at some point this week, but then news happened, so maybe we can put that on our radar. I've also been digging into the early cases of the Supreme Court. There's not a lot of them, so it's in the wake of AOC's.
We need more history shows. I want that one. Let's do that one for sure. So yeah, I guess next week let's do something on tobacco, and it as being a treatment for ADHD, and one of the reasons why we might have seen a substantive uptick in ADHD, because we're no longer encouraging 9-year-old children just to take up smoking.
Well, and I also want to talk just about the trade impacts of tobacco. I mean, the tobacco use sort of took the rest of the world by storm after the I would say tobacco is the greatest a great change in the rest of the world post-Columbian Exchange. So looking at the effects that it had, I mean, you can tie it directly to the Opium Wars in China. So that will be interesting to the Supreme Court. AOC is talking about like lobbying for a movement to impeach Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito. Surprisingly, there is actual precedent for the Congress impeaching or trying to impeach a Supreme Court justice, and it takes us right back to Samuel Chase and those early years of the Supreme Court, and also Federalists versus Democratic Republicans before the radical Republicans of Lincoln. So that'll be a fun thing to talk about, and we'll dig into it. But other than that, have a great weekend. And I'll see you on Monday.
See you on Monday.